Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be about the Grandmaster. So, the Grandmaster recently got a bit of an update in Marvel Contest of Champions to make him slightly easier for progressing players to take down. Now, the Grandmaster is still a very difficult fight even after this change, but he is more or less the same character that he was, just a bit easier and takes a little less time to take down. Longtime players have fought the Grandmaster many times, and if endgame players have gone into Necropolis, they have fought the Necropolis version of the Grandmaster, which is a significantly more challenging and unaltered version of the Grandmaster with more abilities, more health, and it's just a generally tougher fight. I have already made a video covering the Necropolis Grandmaster, doing an overview of a solo that I did on the fight and just going over that. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the updated version of the Grandmaster. I've made many Grandmaster solos and Grandmaster videos in the past, but now that he's been updated for progressing players to have a bit of an easier time, I thought it would be the appropriate thing to do to revisit the Grandmaster with a 5-star Doctor Doom, a rarity of character that is accessible for basically every progressing player. This is a 5-star ascended version of Doctor Doom with no boosters on, aside from the boost that the Summoner Sigil gives you in Acts 1 through 7. So if you have the Summoner Sigil from the Summoner's Market, then you get a bit of an attack and health boost. But this is a 5-star Doctor Doom with a 5-star Destroyer Relic on, and I'm going to be commentating over this fight. I'm doing it fully live here, and just talking about the Grandmaster in his updated state. He's pretty much the same character. Nothing has really changed aside from some quality of life things to make the fight easier, and he also just has less health. So, in this first phase, you want to prioritize a couple of things. Number one, intercepting. You want to intercept the Grandmaster as often as you can to build up these tokens of competence. The more you intercept, the more tokens you get. Don't be afraid to get hit, especially with a character like Doctor Doom. You are a bit tanky, so you don't have to worry about getting hit and that causing you to have too many problems. So with the Grandmaster, you can stun him in the beginning with stun debuffs, and actually parrying is one of the things that you need to do to remove prompts. So in phase 1, using light attacks, parrying, and triggering dexterity will be banned throughout the first phase. So I just got all of them banned right there. Triggering parry, triggering dexterity, and using light attacks will ban those attacks in the fight. That's with phase 1. You can't gain any power in this phase, and the Grandmaster only gains a bar of power once all 3 tactics have been banned. Every time you land an intercept in phase 1, you get this thing called a token of competence. It increases your attack rating while the Grandmaster goes into this thing called the wounded stage. Grandmaster goes into wounded stages at different thresholds throughout the fight, especially now with the updated version. There are different parameters for the wounded phase, specifically in phase 3. So I'll call that out once we get there. But now that I have my 8 tokens of competence, the Grandmaster is about to throw a special 1, and then we're going to cover what the special 1 does as he throws it. So I'm going to do it properly, and then I'll show you exactly what all those things mean and what the symbols mean. So we dex the beam, it's a single beam, and now you see those 3 icons right there on the Grandmaster's HUD. There's a blue block, a green dodge, and a red fist. These are 3 actions that you need to do in order from left to right during the Grandmaster's special 1. So I'm going to block, I'm going to dodge, and I'm going to get hit. You can also dash in during that get hit phase, and that's totally fine to do. And depending on the character you're using, depending on how many tokens you've got, you can get out of phase 1 pretty quickly in one single phase. Again, this is just a 5-star Doctor Doom. Heavy spamming going into the second phase here. This is where things get a little bit more intricate, and it's a lot more involved. But the fight remains mostly the same from its previous iteration. So one thing now is that you can still stun the Grandmaster passively. This version of the Grandmaster specifically. You can still stun him passively, but you can no longer stun him with a stun debuff. So champions like Doctor Doom with the stun passive, Wasp with the stun passive, any character that can heavy into their combo to trigger a passive stun can still stun and knock down the Grandmaster, which makes it incredibly helpful for phase 3. But phase 2, is it's different from phase 1. So in phase 2, the Grandmaster is going to call out 5 challenges that you need to do. You just saw one appear right now, whiff an attack. Whiffing an attack means like throwing a light attack or whiffing a special attack into the air without it actually contacting the Grandmaster and hitting him. So I'm going to bait a special 1 here, and then I'll whiff an attack. But one other thing to mention about this phase specifically is that now you can gain up to 1 bar of power, but the Grandmaster cannot. Like the Grandmaster gains power based on you hitting him. So the more you hit the Grandmaster, the more power you give him per hit. So I'm going to dex the special 1 here. Block, dodge, get hit. I'm going to knock the Grandmaster down. I'm going to back up, and I'm going to whiff a light attack. So right there, challenge successful. You can also sidestep the Grandmaster's medium attack. That's not a necessary skill for this fight, but if you're comfortable with sidestepping, you can do it with most characters. Dash back, block, get hit. As you just saw, one of the prompts was to land a critical hit, and I did that. The next prompt was to perform an intercept, and I just did that. Now he's asking me to gain a buff. Triggering dexterity, as long as you're not immune to dexterity, will grant you that effect. And then the final objective is to land a damage over time effect. So I'm going to throw my relic to get an opening. My medium applies a shock, and now we can go to town here, dealing massive damage here. Dr. Doom's heavy attack, if it crits, is going to deal 5% of the Grandmaster's health. He can only lose 5% of his health at one time, and you cannot like deal any damage over time to him in any way and have it deal damage. Like, you can apply the effects, but there's no damage attached to them. Alright, we need to whiff an attack here. Going to whiff an attack, throw my special 1 just to give Grandmaster a little bit more power. He's going to throw his special 1. The order of the prompts is random, so the prompt order is never like the same every single time. It's going to be different every time you cycle through phase 2, and the same goes for phase 3. Dash back, get hit, and block. We need to wait for the next prompt, perform an intercept. There we go. The Grandmaster tests your core MCOC game knowledge, and it just makes you a better player when you do this fight. It really tests your ability to play well. Alright, I'm going to go for the attacks now. I'm probably not going to be able to get him down to that 30% threshold. Actually, no, we did. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, got him to the 30% threshold there. A little bit lucky that I was able to land those crits. But now we're in phase 3, so we're going to do what we do from phase 1 to phase 2. We're just going to spam heavy attacks until the phase has fully transitioned. And now the Grandmaster is going to gain power over time. And every single time he throws a special attack, he will increase the amount of power that he gains in the fight. So right now, his passive power gain is very low, but it will increase over time. Additionally, you're going to see by your character icon there, an inverted controls timer. That triggers every 41.5 seconds. 42.5 seconds. Let's just say every 40 seconds for the sake of simplicity. Every 40 seconds, your controls will be inverted. Now, if you have a character like Professor X, Moondragon, or any other character that is immune to reverse controls, that is a completely irrelevant factor of this phase specifically, and you can ignore that. However, if you're using a character that is not immune to reverse controls, like I am, you have to be aware of when the inverted controls timer triggers, and make sure you're not in the middle of like a special attack animation, or like dodging back from Grandmaster's special. You want to be throwing a special attack, throwing a relic, throwing a heavy attack when the inverted control timer triggers, so you're not like confused in the moment from the controls being normal to inverted, and then you mess up, you get hit. In the whole 9 yards. Another thing that I haven't mentioned because I haven't had any of them trigger is tokens of blunder. So if you fail a prompt in phase 2 or phase 3, if you do a banned action in phase 1, you will gain this thing called a token of blunder. Now, something that was updated for the Grandmaster is how many tokens of blunder you can get before it is an immediate instant KO with the Grandmaster Special 3. If you didn't know, the Grandmaster Special 3 instantly knocks out the opponent. Doesn't matter, and no parameters, nothing like that. It's an instant KO. So don't push Grandmaster to Special 3 if you can. Avoid it. But The tokens of blunder, you used to only be able to have 5, and then Grandmaster would go to special 3, but now you can have up to 10. So you're safe to have tokens of blunder on you from 1 to 9. So let's say I intentionally fail this next prompt, right? I intentionally fail this next prompt. Maybe I'll just do that for the sake of it to show you what that looks like. All right, so it says knock me down. That's one of the prompts that he has in phase 3 is the knock me down prompt. I'm going to fail that prompt. And you're going to see that as I fail that prompt, I'm going to gain a token of blunder. That will stack up to 10. If I get to 10, it's an immediate KO. Now, I successfully knock him down, and we are totally fine. So another thing to mention before I get him to his wounded phase here, is in phase 3 now, you only need to complete 3 challenges to get Grandmaster wounded. Before it used to be 5, but now the Grandmaster has been changed, so now it is a lot easier to manage in phase 3. You have to get him to 3 challenges completed to then get him into that wounded phase. Another pro tip that I'm about to show off here, once getting Grandmaster to his wounded phase, is using your special 3. The special 3 is going to have its damage increased by those tokens of competence, and you can easily hit that 5% damage threshold with your special 3 with pretty much any character. So if you want like an easy 5% taken off, in addition to the damage that you're dealing from your basic hits and your heavy attacks, go for the special 3 and take a nice chunk of damage off. One more thing before we get into the wounded phase is relics and like striker attacks don't have the increased attack rating for this version of the Grandmaster. So don't throw a relic during the wounded phase because you're going to waste a lot of time when you could have been dealing great damage there. I'm just going to keep knocking him down. He doesn't have any power. Perform well-timed blocks. We have to perform 3 of them. I'm going to bait a special 1 here. Actually, nope, we're just going to go for one more well-timed block. I was going to see if he was going to be willing to throw a special 1, but he was not. Right before the wounded phase ends, I'm going to throw my special 3. That's going to deal, if not 5%, very close to 5%. Yeah, very close to 5%. He's passively stunned. He throws a special 1, and we're about to go inverted. We're very close to that inverted timer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very cautious about when I throw my next special attack. Right there, that was another prompt the Grandmaster can trigger in this phase. To go over the prompts that he can trigger in this phase, you've seen 2 of them. You've seen Knock Me Down, and you've seen Perform Well-Timed Blocks. There is also Strike My Block, which is what I just did. You strike his block 4 times. Grandmaster becomes a lot more passive when he gets that prompt, so you're able to strike his block. And then the other 2 prompts are dashing back, either 4 or 5 times, and then standing still, which means you're just kind of holding block or you're idling and you're not moving, and that will complete another one of the prompts. We'll see if I can get any of the other prompts to trigger during this fight. But as you can see, I am throwing my special 1 as I go inverted. Now I know I'm inverted, and I can prepare for being inverted. So I have the dash back prompt here. I'm going to go in, just knock Grandmaster down with a heavy attack. If you didn't notice there, the inverted controls passive is paused during Grandmaster's special 1. So you just have to be aware that you're going to be inverted during that special 1 and prepare for it accordingly. So we're going to do one more phase of phase 3 here. Dash back, block, get hit. Knocking him down again. We only need to complete 3 prompts. Alright, he says strike my block. I go in and do my blocked hits. You ideally do not want to push the Grandmaster to his special 2. The special 2, it cannot be dexed without a character like Nightcrawler or Quicksilver with their increased dodge invulnerability window. And the special 2 power drains the opponent 10% of their max power every single hit that you block. And there's 20 hits of the special 2. Alright, we're going to go for a parry here to get the well-timed block prompt. And now all we need to do is land 1 more. Alright, just go for a reparry here. And now Grandmaster is in his final phase. So the final phase here, you don't want to heavy spam when the phase timer expires because the Grandmaster is about to go unstoppable. Now, you can remove this unstoppable temporarily by landing intercepts. Or if you have a character that has slow or grit, you can just totally ignore it. You can also just wait out this phase, and as long as you have high enough health and you don't get hit, then by the time the unstoppable timer ends, you go to your special 3 and you KO the Grandmaster. So I'm going to knock him down 1 time here, and now Grandmaster's aggressive. We go in for our intercept combos. Every time we land an intercept, we pause the unstoppable timer. Grandmaster can be a little finicky, so just make sure you're aware of what Grandmaster's doing. And now we're going to wait out the rest of it. And congratulations, if you followed this entire video, you have successfully taken down the Grandmaster, whether it's in a solo or you're using multiple characters to get through each phase. Regardless, you have successfully taken down the Act 6 Grandmaster, the final boss of Act 6, and I hope this step-by-step guide was informational and helpful for you. So, that is going to do it for this review of the Grandmaster in 2025. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel and also hitting that like button as well. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.